let's have a bit of a listen along. That tape that George said he had access to. It's a funny old place, Rochdale, you know. Nothing stays a secret around here. Certainly skullduggery. It's like, you know, watch who you mouth off to in Rochdale, because the word always gets back. Especially if you're going to start bragging about what your plans are. You start openly bragging because it's in your nature to do that. That's what you are. This like hope not hate tape. Now, I don't recognise these voices as being Rochdale voices. Rochdale people kind of talk like I do. They're not as rough and ready, most of them, but they have a kind of accent, don't they? They have kind of a twang to them. We talk like, we speak like in a sort of rough, like certainly Lancastrian way. We don't sound like people from Manchester. We certainly don't sound like people from London, do we? It's like these people have it in their heads to humiliate and punish. Now, if you consider, right, George won a by-election and he fought it. People say that he kind of fought it in a shameless way. It's like, have you ever... Well, see, it was the first time that the spotlight's ever been on a Rochdale election. Every Rochdale election's fought in a kind of ruthless way. Every single one ever. It's all about who can win the game of dirty tricks. So what it's always been, as long as I've been alive. I've been talking about Rochdale elections on this little channel for about a decade. It's like they behave like gangsters. Now, normally, when George Galloway isn't the candidate, it's like the forces that support George would have been almost playing a dirty tricks campaign against their enemy, whether it be Lib Dem or it be Conservative. Conservatives can't win in Rochdale. Ever. So it's always just Lib Dem, Labour. No one's ever going to get near. This is a Labour stronghold. Why? Because any meaningful opposition is crushed. Crushed. And they don't do it by winning the argument. They usually do it by spreading rumours and lies about the candidate. That's how they do it. Character assassination. That's how they do it. Backstabbing and then under the table deals. Well, there's always one public facing campaign which is usually all woke and smiley, talking about fighting racism and improving services and doing a bit towards climate change, that kind of thing. And then there's another campaign that goes on behind the scenes of horse trading and deals done under the table, promises made. That's what goes on. And very few people benefit from these promises that get made. And then there's a lot of bullying as to who votes for who. Now, there's a lot of people who are completely left out of this. Completely left out of it. And they all got to vote for George Galloway last time round. All those people who do not benefit from the Labour status quo voted for George Galloway last time around. Didn't I tell you that George would win? You leave weapons lying around on the battlefield and don't be too surprised when people from Rochdale pick them up. Don't be too surprised. Did you see how this place voted in favour of Brexit, like 60-40? It's like, you give us a chance to stick it to the toffs, and we'll stick it to the toffs. And those who see us as pets and sheep and uneducated, they'll get it in the bag. So it's like, have a listen to this. It's not a very long recording, but you get the gist of this. You might get the gist of it. I get the gist of it as to where it's not so much an attack on George, it's an attack on the people who voted for him. needing to be taught a lesson in who's really in charge. That's what it comes across to me. I'm just I'm just a local mouth, aren't I? Somebody reads all the papers, somebody reads most of the comments. Someone who keeps an eye on what goes on. And suddenly we've got hope, not hate, telling us they've spent fortunes, more money than any campaign's allowed to spend, on demographic voting data in order to get out the Labour vote by character assassinating George Galloway, likely going around some of the more leafy parts of the town saying he's a climate change denier. Targeting individuals to canvass. Not going round putting leaflets through doors, targeting individuals to make sure they don't knock on a door where someone will say, well, no, I support George Galloway. Making sure, not interested in a fair fight, isolating those who they can rely upon for support to get the vote out. And it's not about winning, it's about winning by a landslide. And teaching Mr. Galloway and those upstarts who voted for him a lesson that they'll not soon forget. It's like, this place has got ears, man. Don't brag. It's not seen as seemly around here to run your mouth. I'll tell you. Not unless you've got something to back your play. If you're caught offside, breaking the law, and you come unstuck. This is not the first recording that's been leaked of Labour activists running their mouths, is it? It's not even the first one this year. Bragging. Because that's their nature. To brag about what they've got in store. Hope not hate campaigners in Rochdale. Let's have a little listen to them running their mouths.
Well, basically we've got a map here, and usually what we do is just try and blitz through it and finish.
Yeah.
It's quite a big roundup, but we'll see how we get on.
So have you had a lot of people volunteering?
Yes, yeah, not bad.
Yeah.
The difficulty is because it is an election period.
Sure.
A lot of kind of people who are politically active elsewhere.
So are you guys like on the Labour campaign, or are you just is it independent? You're on the Labour campaign.
He runs a campaign, a different campaign group.
Yeah.
As well. Yeah. So I'm just trying to. After he played Gardens.
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Wait, so who's the Labour MP?
The Labour candidate here.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Paul
Yeah.
War.
Yeah. Do you think we're going to beat him then?
Sorry.
George Galloway.
Yeah, I think from our point of view,
it's
more about beating him well, I think.
Right.
Because
what, like getting like
we want to get a good solid majority because it sends out a message.
Yeah.
Because so what we've got, so we have maps that are based on, when they do polling and they do this thing with MRP, it kind of drills down into...
What's MRP?
Multi-level, what is it called?
It's a way of modelling out based on demographic data.
Demographics, yeah.
To make a projection of what kind of people, what kind of views people have in different houses.
Oh, okay.
So you do a massive national poll, and then you can use that to extrapolate onto the whole country.
Oh, right.
We think people in this area are likely to vote, they're likely to be voters for Labour or for the Dems.
Oh, it's weird, isn't
They're likely to not vote Galloway. So these blue areas are people that are likely to choose between Conservative and Labour.
How long has that existed?
About 10 years.
What, the technology? But can anyone use the technology, or is it like you have to...
I mean, it's expensive.
It's quite weird, doesn't it? It kind of really changes, like, politics, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, when stuff is so targeted, it's quite weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine that's really expensive though, because you kind of have to get information that's like people's
it's not,
thoughts.
It's not very cheap, but what it means is that we're definitely going to be campaigning in areas that make sense for what we're trying to do, which is...
Yeah. Do you understand how it works now? It's kind of racist, don't you think? That's the smell I get from it. It'd be, well, we're going to canvass predominantly white areas. Isn't that the ring of this? What kind of information can they have gathered? What kind of information do you think they've gathered? There's not really, you know, it's like when they say a national poll or a national survey, what are we talking about here? Census data? What could they know? Well, you know, them box ticking exercises that they have in every census. What are you, white British? What are you? That's the information they've got, isn't it? When they talk about demographic data and what they've managed to gather, isn't that what we're talking about here? Sexual preference and skin colour. Isn't that what we're talking about here? Can somebody else give me a clue as to what this data they might have sifted or have been out and bought? Can you tell me what else they might know that might give them a clue as to how this might work? Please, someone give me a clue, because all I can think of is those box ticking exercise as to what do you identify as? Oh, white British. I'm sorry, but it's just got the smell of that. What data is available like that they've got access to other than sexual preference and race? Please, someone tell me. Please, someone give me a clue. Am I like off on a weird kilter here, or is that exactly what's happening here? They're going to target white working class areas and drum up racial hatred against the Pakistanis, aren't they? Come on, we might as well just come out and say it. And these are not Rochdale people doing that. These are people from down south. These are Hope Not Hate, left-wing, radical activists, the likes of which who are like vandalising Stonehenge right now. These are those people making their way to Rochdale to run a racist campaign. Can somebody give me, anyone got any ideas what else it might be? Is there any, come on, make a suggestion, leave it in the comments. What other kinds of data is available? What other kinds of data is available that these people can go out and buy for a great deal of money? I've heard it said that that kind of database is going to cost you something like £20,000. The most you're allowed to spend on an election is something like 1,000, isn't it? Seriously. I mean, that's never meant anything in Rochdale to start with. Never meant anything. There's millions being poured into this Labour campaign in Rochdale. I shit you not. Because that's always the way that it is. Politics in Rochdale got highlighted because there was a by-election here that was made news all over the world. Did damage to the Labour Party's campaign. Did damage, did untold damage. Showed people that if they vote for an independent or an alternative, that they can win. You notice how nobody wants a fair fight with George? No coverage at all of the Workers' Party, even though the Workers' Party managed to win a by-election. No coverage at all. Running scared from it. And at the same time, unleashing these mercenaries with this selective database of data in order to get the white vote out. Come on. This is what it is, isn't it? You see, we live in a democracy. Nah, this is about gangsters, this. This is gangsters making sure they stay in power. And this is also about teaching people a lesson for going up against the betters. That's what this is. It's disgusting. But 10 seconds of it left. Have I missed anything?
Yeah.
We're just trying to, anyone who's not likely to vote Galloway, we want to make sure they vote. And that's these.
Oh, okay.
What is it other than that? What is it other than that? Come on, someone someone tell me where I'm wrong. Someone tell me that the information they've got isn't just about race. Isn't just, you know, white people live in this street. Seriously. That's the level at which these elections are fought in this town. That is what's done. That is how it's done. That's how it's played. That's the game they play. Labour Party would say, oh no, we're not racist. We don't act on that. We don't play the race card. We're anti-racist. That would be the last thing we'd do. That's a right-wing tactic, isn't it? That's a right-wing tactic. We'd never do that. Well, they do that, and they do that all the time. It's just that they'll never admit it, and they accuse everyone else of doing what they're doing. And they brag, and they run their mouths. And it doesn't go down. Bragging doesn't go down so well around here. And then suddenly, the tapes find their way to George Galloway. George has got friends everywhere.